You've read The Impossible Pet Show. This week, we're discussing point of view. In your language arts journal, I want you to go to the next clean page. At the top, write the title of our story, The Impossible Pet Show. Underneath, write point of view. That's what we're going to be focusing on. Pause the video here if you need another moment to write. I'm going to be giving you page numbers to look at, and we're going to be looking for the point of view of the narrator. The narrator is the person that's telling the story. In this case, Daniel is the person telling the story. We're going to look and see how he feels and thinks by finding details. First, on page 277, can you find a sentence that tells how Daniel is feeling in any of these paragraphs? If you're having trouble, you might want to look specifically at the second paragraph. How many of you put your finger on this? I've never had a pet, so I feel uncomfortable and nervous around animals. That tells me how Daniel, the narrator, feels. It's part of his point of view. So I wrote that down. On page 277, Daniel says he is nervous and uncomfortable around animals. Pause here and take a minute to copy this if you need. Now I'm going to have you look for another way that Daniel, our narrator, feels. I want you to look in this first section of lines, maybe the first 6 lines. I want you to reread that. Can you put your finger on some information that shows how Daniel feels, his point of view? Pause here to find that. How many of you put your finger here? Crowds make me nervous and unsure. Well, that's another feeling that he is having, so let's add that to our list. Crowds make me nervous and unsure. That's what he says. On page 278, this same page, he goes on to give another way he feels about animals. Did you notice this? I don't like animals. That's another way that he feels. So in order to find the point of view of our narrator here, Daniel, we have to collect all of these details together. I want you to reread these and think in your head, what do all of these details tell you about Daniel? This is what I said. Compare it to yours. He did not want to be the announcer for the pet show and do something that made him uncomfortable. He was nervous and uncomfortable. Crowds made him unsure, and he didn't like animals. Well, the points of view, how a character feels, can change over time. This is how the character felt at the beginning of our story. So I'm going to give you a question here. How does Daniel's point of view change at the end of the story? It is your job to go through and read for clues that tell you how Daniel changes his point of view. I want you to respond with a sentence or two. If you run out of room, like I'm going to run out of room, you can turn your paper over and write on the back. But I would like for you to answer this question. How does Daniel's point of view change at the end of the story? We'll talk about those in class.